Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. It is nearly time for Dark Deception Chapter 5 Hype Days to begin once again, all over again, just like Chapter 4. What is up, SmackNPie, and welcome back, or welcome to Dark Deception Chapter 5 videos here on the channel. So we're doing exactly what we did after Chapter 3 release, is to start Chapter 4 videos, and that's exactly what we're going to do here today. Great, fantastic. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to start slow, and I wanted to start where we ended last time, and that is Chapter 5 Enemies. The reason it makes Chapter 5 so interesting and fascinating is that other than the fact that it is the final chapter of Dark Deception 1, it is also a chapter with the least amount of information out there. For Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, it had to be there because at the time it was rising in popularity, and for Chapter 4, the game files and Vincent Livingstone being open about a lot of things helped Chapter 4's case a lot. But the Chapter 5, it's not that much out there, unfortunately. So let's start what we can tackle it, and that is the enemies of Chapter 5. Before we begin, let me make it clear. Chapter 5 will be releasing in two parts. Part 1 will have two levels, Portal 9 and Portal 10th, and whatever the rest that is left for Chapter 5 will be tackled in Part 2. I have a video coming on that soon, so make sure you stay tuned, maybe tomorrow, but for the time being, let's talk about all the enemies we know so far about Chapter 5 collectively as Part 1 and Part 2. So without wasting more time, let us jump into it. Mannequins. So let's start with Mannequins, the 9th portal, level 9, the final known monster since Chapter 3 release date. I'm not even making this up. Since Chapter 3 release date, we been knew that Mannequins will be the 9th level of Dark Deception. We also knew that they're gonna be part of Chapter 5. But other than that, there was not much known about Mannequins. The mystery surrounding Mannequins is what makes them so fascinating character in all of Dark Deception. No voice, just twitching and cone heads with spikes as their head and hands. It makes them a deadly creatures. It makes them a fascinating characters, and the type of role that they'll play in the lore of Dark Deception is what makes me excited to see their role in Chapter 5 and in Dark Deception as a whole. One thing I will say before I move on is that except for Jojo Gang and Agatha, a lot of the monsters have kind of failed in dominating themselves as a separate character. Dark Deception itself as an entity is known, like widely popular, but there are only few characters, a handful of characters that are like managed to surge the popularity of Dark Deception itself and merged through as their own entity, as their own separate characters, and those were Jojo Gang, as we've seen so far, all three members and the Joy Kill. And on the other hand, you got Agatha, just because Agatha is the best character of them all, so of course she would come back, and she has come back, as we've seen in Chapter 4. So I'm hoping that with Chapter 5, we can get to establish some characters that go beyond than just Dark Deception, that become popular, that become their own characters. But coming back to the Mannequins at hand, this might be the only character that really doubles down on horror, that doubles down on psychological aspect of Doug Hauser. Chapter 5 is all about putting things together, wrapping it up, going all in that horror, psychological horror, because we're, inside the brain of Doug Hauser. So Mannequins will be a perfect role for that. There are also other videos coming soon for Mannequins jump scares and whatnot, but the fact that they have cone heads, they have no heads, basically. And Doug Hauser, this is inside his mind. This is what we're kind of seeing through his eyes. It's kind of metaphor and ironic that that will be his last monster, last enemy, before whatever it is the 10th and 11th portals are, or the ending, whatever it is. So at this point, Mannequins, really fascinating stuff. Not sure about their gameplay or anything, or how many there will be numbers or their mechanics or anything, but this is where the situation is. I've taken a lot of time with Mannequins. The next one, ladies and gentlemen, is the 10th portal. This is where the mystery begins for Dark Deception, and I'm hopeful and I'm pretty sure they'll soon start to give hints and whatnot for the 10th portal. But one thing is certain. A long time ago, Vincent Livingstone said that the 10th portal is unlike anything we've seen so far, and that it is a he. So a lot of speculation started. Okay, is the final portal Malak? Because it makes sense. It can't be a she, because there are a lot of rumors and theories going around on Tammy Hauser because of what Doug has done. And there were a lot of rumors and speculations of Christine Dreasy. This is now changed into Elise Hauser, Clarissa Elise Hauser. We can rule those two out for just 10th portal specifically. But before I continue, we know there's an 11th portal as well. And then there's the ending with the S rank. If you S rank all the levels, you get S rank ending, which is basically the true ending of this game. I have 4 potential characters that can be split into both 10th portal and 11th portal and the ending. So let's go through each of them one at a time, starting with the 10th portal. Malak. So this isn't a little obvious one. Now that I'm talking about it, I think it's a little too obvious. But of course, it has to be done. It has to be done. Malak as an enemy has to be done. Him himself being physically there, it needs to be done. Because the whole time, what we're dealing with here is that Malak is sending his minions. He doesn't want to get his own hands dirty just yet. He just want to make sure that he sends his best ones to get rid of us. And eventually, he will run out of his own minions. And he will have to get into the ring and fight 1v1 against Doug Hauser. A time will come, and that time is none other than 10th Portal. It is perfect. It's literally leading up to that. But Malak has tricks up his sleeves because he's literally a demon. He's a devil. He's the elite of the elite. Not the elite, but one of the elites in the realm of Battle Nexus, I like to call it. That's what our decision is all about. But of course, his main mechanic would be to mess with our heads, bringing all our previous nightmares like Joy Joy Gang, Agatha, monkeys, clowns, and whatnot, and using them in a unique way is what, shaping up to be a spectacle ending for our deception. It makes sense. It just makes sense, right? But there are more that I feel like they can take it to the next level. So Malak is one of the options. Let's get to the next one. Tammy Hauser, or Elise Hauser. Now, this is a little obvious again, given what we've learned from Chapter 4. There is a Tammy Hauser that is full of rage, anger, that we've seen on the bridge scene that she said, "You did this." She has this rage, and she is innocent turned corrupt, and has hatred for her father for what he has done to her. Not just the car accident, but everything in his life that he has done to her. The love that he didn't give her, all of that stuff. We know the story of Chapter 4 and Doug Hauser yet. So it is no surprise that one of these portals will include Tammy Hauser as an enemy. Unfortunately, the red Tammy Hauser, the dark one, the darker side, the evil side of Tammy Hauser, basically, which is sad because, she's a child. She didn't get to understand and experience all of that, but hey, it is what it is, right? But there's a problem that is thrown at us, and that is Blue Ball, which a lot of people are saying is the second half or the good version of Tammy Hauser, because Malak kind of separated. And yes, there's a video on Tammy Hauser as well. Don't worry, Chapter 5 video just begun, guys. I can't do everything right now, but TLDR that Malak separated the soul of Tammy into two, pushing the good one away, which is the blue ball, and then using the red one to torment Doug and others, or for other stuff as well. But TLDR is that Tammy is still there, right? That brings us to Elise, Clarice Elise Hauser. I could have made another separate portion for her, but I'm including her with Tammy because Malak is not enough for Tammy to be pushed to that limit where she would want to kill and get rid of her father. That's where Elise comes into play. We know Clarissa Elise Hauser is going around their e-notes and whatnot. I also feel like the same thing is happening with Elise as well. It is leading up to us meeting her, meeting our own wife. I mean, just makes sense, right? A long time ago I made a video talking about how both the mother and the daughter, or at least the evil versions of them, would be one of the bosses, right? Here it just makes sense. It just makes sense for mother to get involved, for the wife to get involved as well. The evil version, the one that is like, yes, your rage, your anger, your hatred is totally justified, and now he has come here vulnerable. It is time for you to take your revenge and end it once and for all. And then Doug would have to put those memories, those consequences that he's now facing. Story-wise, it just makes sense that it would make such a great gameplay as well. Like, just imagine in a complete infinite void, you have all these previous monsters, and then you have your own. I can already imagine either Tammy or Elise, huge, massive in size, and then just mechanics dodging left and right, other monsters chasing us. We gotta use, it's gonna be like just Malak, but like more personal and scary and just spectacle. That's the word that I love about Chapter 5 at the time, is spectacle. So yeah, she's not 10th portal, that's for sure, but 11th portal, you bet your app size. If 11th portal is the only thing in Chapter 5 Part 2, I'm putting my money there for the timing. But guess what? There is more, ladies and gentlemen, there is more. Yes, Beers, don't you feel... Hey, Beers, you think you can run away from everything you're doing? Ladies and gentlemen, a time will come. A time will come when Beers, of all people, Beers, will be standing in our way. Don't feel like she will be a friend and would just help you and get you escape. No. She is trapped here. There's literally a ring piece that is attached to her soul. She is a part of Malak's dominion. She is a part of the demon's realm. She is a part of evil. She made a deal with the devil, for freak's sake. Beers is going nowhere, number one. And number two, even if she does, she needs a host here. And that would be Doug Hauser. So in my opinion, 11th portal or the ending could see us going head to head with Beers. But that means we can have Malak, Tammy Hauser, Elise, and Beers all in one, or like one after the other. Or you can remove Tammy and Elise, or you can remove Malak, because then that would be a little too much, right? A lot of this is just metaphor, and you'll understand in the next point that I'm about to make, but it just makes sense that you can't trust Beers, and a time will come when you'll have to choose to either sacrifice yourself or your family to move on into heaven and whatnot, end this whole shenanigan with Beers and Malak. Not really, well, at least end Beers for the time being, or you can become a slave so that you can be reunited with your family temporarily. And listen, I'm just throwing it out here, but I think you get my point with what I'm trying to say here on making a deal with the devil. Beers being a part of this, you being the next Beers in this ballroom, it just makes sense for the time being. I need to work more on this theory specifically, but Beers, don't keep your eye off of her, even for a second. And finally, I gotta give a shout out to one of you guys. So when I posted a video on Mega News Update, one of you, specifically Trackmania Kid 27 Gaming, brought such a fascinating point. And I'll just TLDR real quick that it is possible that the Doug Hauser, the protagonist we play as, will be the main enemy of the 10th level. Now I'm not gonna say 10th level, because it's a little too close to home, but it may be 11th portal, or maybe the ending of chapter 5. We could see Doug Hauser being the final enemy. It just makes sense. I can't believe that I never even thought about this, but shout out to Trackmania again for bringing this up, that as much as it makes sense for Tammy Hauser and Elise and Malak and Beers, the biggest enemy here is Doug Hauser himself. He's the reason he's in this mess. He's the reason why his family left him and then got into the accident and died, and he's the reason for all the horrible things that has happened in his life that followed him afterwards. He's the reason why he's going through all these nightmares. So what better way to end such a story that started with him being in this mess in the first place is to put him against his past self, an evil self. I keep talking about the evil and the good side. It just makes sense for the developers to put us against our evil self, who has all the negativity, all the devil inside him, his soul corrupt, his mind corrupt, everything. And he has whatever powers we have. He has the highest version of it. Whatever power we use, he has a counter to it, because he is ourself. And whatever it doesn't work, so you would have to think out of the box to defeat him. Just like Trackmania Kid 27 Gaming said, that Vince said in one of the Q&As, that it is unlike anything we've seen. It just makes sense. It is unlike anything we've seen. A boss fight that is unlike anything we've seen, going through multiple nightmares of our past life, one after another, in all distorted, chaotic way, going through another monster, eventually sacrificing ourselves, really nailing down the point of I am changed and I am making up for it. I am changed and I want to do better. I want to do right by my family. And his family is there, seeing that he has sacrificed himself. They move on. The evil soul finally dies. Tammy Hauser, Elise, they forgive him, and all three of them passes away. And then you can still have that small story of Beers and Doug. You can even go as far as to make an alternate ending where Beers just escapes and Malak is there in his own realm and whatnot, and Beers outside in the outside world visiting Doug Hauser and his family's graves. Guys, come on now. Come on now, I would leave you here, Vince. If you haven't done this, take it. Make an alternate ending cutscene after the credits where whoever escapes, Beers, Doug, or anybody, make them visit the deceased graves to really nail down the point for a sequel of Darkness. I'm not gonna leave you here. Just do it. So what do? It is very simple, ladies and gentlemen. You subscribe for more videos. You follow me, and I'll see you every